I don't call them grooming gangs, I call it Pakistani rape gangs, because 95% of these people are Pakistanis.
That's
so it is true. It is true.
You'd like to see illegal migrants put on an island off Scotland with minimal food, your words, and let the midges do the rest.
That's what I said. You don't have illegal migrants living next to you, Emily, because you live in a part of the country that probably doesn't have them.
Feel more comfortable speaking in their native language.
I don't care.
Right.
What is necessary will be incredibly painful. Store Britain will not just stop mass immigration, we will reverse it.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. Over the weekend, we have seen one of the biggest moments in recent British political history, if not the biggest moment, with Rupert Lowe announcing the launch of Restore Britain as a national political party. This feels consequential, and it feels like what the British people have been wanting for a very long time now. So we're going to go through all of that in today's video, but first of all, we're going to go through a debate where Rupert Lowe absolutely wipes the floor with a former BBC journalist.
That's absolutely not
true. So
it is true.
It is true.
This tells us all we need to know. It is the based right versus the old guard, the liberal elite establishment, and she just goes for his jugular from the start and fails miserably. So let's go through that, and then at the end, we'll go through a little bit more about Rupert Lowe himself and about some of his policies. With that, let's get into it.
Alexis J, who, as you know, spent 7 years on a child abuse probe, says she's very unhappy with the politicisation of child sexual exploitation done, in her words, a very uninformed way. She's talking about you.
She's welcome to her own opinion, as is everybody. I believe in a Britain where everybody should be able to express exactly what they want to.
Why is it funny
without
to
any
exploitation?
I don't have any problem. I said she's welcome to her own opinion.
But why is it funny?
But it's not funny. I mean, my driver for the rape gang inquiry is that, having looked into it, and it's something which I think a lot of people in this country probably were blissfully unaware of.
No, I don't think they were.
So,
Norfolk,
that's
who's the Times reporter.
That's your opinion. I don't call them grooming gangs. I call it Pakistani rape gangs, because 95% of these people are Pakistanis, and very often from a particular part of Pakistan.
That's absolutely not
true. So it is true. It is
true.
true.
So that is absolutely true. And the Pakistani grooming gang or rape gang scandal is something that spanned over 20 plus cities. It was an organized network of gangs that specifically targeted white working class girls because these Muslim men see them as inferior, essentially as spoils of war, as if they have the right to them. And they told them as much, according to the reports of the victims. And they are majority Pakistani, but the Liberal cannot acknowledge that. Because even though she is a feminist who would have stood at the mountaintop during the Me Too movement and screeched and squealed about all of these women victims, this particular instance of women being victimized and sexually assaulted goes against the blank slate ideology. It goes against the globalist ideal that all cultures are equal. So she must not listen to those girls.
Why 13-year-old girls? Why not older girls?
It's because the younger girls easy to take advantage, because when they're 18, 19, don't really fall for little things like that. They listen to the vulnerable. And once you're sucked in, you can't get out. You can never get out.
Will people pay more for younger girls? The younger the girl, the more money they have.
Yeah, because it says she's a virgin, they get the pleasure of the breaking of virginity. They're tired of whore for the guy, really, and they better the pleasure.
But this is why they covered it up. The media, the government, the police all covered it up out of fear of being racist. And so let's move on now, as the most embarrassing piece of journalism I have ever seen in my entire life gets worse. And Rupert Lowe holds her feet to the fire a bit.
But anyway,
no.
let's
From 2023, I'm going to tell you this.
Park that.
224 white grooming gang suspects were found compared to 22 Pakistani suspects. Why do you only talk about the Pakistani grooming gangs? That's police statistics from the Times.
I've now got on my
police statistics from the Times.
If you look at my rape gang inquiry, which you asked me about.
No, I didn't. I asked you why you're insisting on politicising child exploitation.
20,000 people have donated about £620,000 now. That shows you the depth of feeling and concern amongst British people.
Doesn't it show you should be ashamed that you are making money off a re-exploitation
I'm not. I've given money. I've given money. I'm not making money. I've given money to it. I will make absolutely less than zero. I've given a substantial sum to it, as have other people who care.
Why are you doing this? Why are you just trying to talk about Pakistani grooming gangs when there are 4 times, 8 times and 10 times as many white grooming gang suspects.
Are you
We
telling
only
me-
ever hear
Are
you
you
talk
telling me
about
there's no
Pakistani
issue? Are you telling me
perpetrators.
there's no issue?
I'm telling you that you are focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs because probably you're racist and you don't believe that there are white perpetrators of the same crime. Can you deny that?
I am concentrating on it because it's a blot on our national history.
So she says he's profiting here. He's profiting off of all of this. No, he is getting donations to fund an inquiry that shouldn't be funded by him and their donations. And moreover, she points out that he must be doing this because he is racist. Wow, gosh, guys, 2026, and they're calling us racists. This is going to be extremely effective.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
But in all seriousness, guys, this is why he is necessary. And this is why his announcement on Twitter alone, as of recording this video, has over 34 million views. Because Brits, and the rest of the Western world for that matter, are absolutely sick of being called racist because they don't want their populations and their ancestors to be demographically replaced. They don't want all of the cultural customs which they love and know about their homelands to be systematically destroyed. They don't want roaming gangs of rapists targeting their daughters. I know that might sound shocking to the Liberal, and I know that this is something that might sound racist, but call it what you want to call it. It has to stop. Somebody has to stand up and do something about this. So me and so many others are hoping that this is a domino effect. And I know it's difficult to put our trust in man like this and to put our trust in politics, especially considering the Epstein files and all of these very, very dark and black-pilling things that have come out recently. But sometimes all it takes is one domino to fall, and then the rest will follow. But anyways, in the next part, he really catches her out because she tries to act like she cares about grooming gangs, but not when it comes to Pakistanis. And she's trying to hold him to a certain standard when he would just so obviously want white grooming gangs prosecuted. But the problem is here that they're running cover for the Pakistani grooming gangs. Anyways, let's have a listen.
And
you
hang
will
on.
know Andrew Norfolk,
No, hang on.
who's the Times reporter, who started the reporting on this in 2011.
Andrew Norfolk's done some
he
good
said
work.
the way this issue has been raised by people like Musk, like you, is exploiting these girls, making the victims all over again.
He has said some very good things, but
Yes.
I am not satisfied that the British establishment has dealt with this for a number of reasons. And in my view, it's linked to county lines drugs. There's a whole raft of things that have not been properly dealt with. You can throw as much liberal cant as you want at me, but I am not going to back down, and it's perfectly within my right.
Yeah.
And if you can't see the fact that 20,000 people have put their trust in me, I feel incredibly humbled by that. They have contributed because they know there's an issue here
The
that
Liberal
the state
cant-
has not dealt with.
The Liberal cant is asking whether all grooming is bad in this country, all exploitation of young girls is bad, or just one particular type done
All
by
grooming,
one particular...
all grooming is bad.
Because I didn't hear you
all
say
grooming
that.
is bad,
Okay,
and
so
all rape is bad, and all treatment of
you've advocated the
underage
deportation
children
of
is
all
bad.
illegal immigrants, and you've said we need to start
Hang on,
rapidly...
repeat that. What did I say?
You've advocated the deportation, I believe, of all
Right.
illegal
I'll tell you my
migrants.
position on this.
No, I want to just get this quote out. We need to start rapidly emptying the tub. Do you believe there are too many Muslims in this country? Is that where you stand?
I believe there are too many illegal migrants
Do you
in this
believe there are
country.
too many Muslims in
So
this country?
I have said, and I'm on record, and I'll say it to you clearly, I would detain and deport all people arriving here illegally. The basis of a sovereign nation is
That's
to
not the
defend...
question I asked.
Hang
Do
on,
you believe there are too
hang
many
on,
Muslims?
You
You
don't
can
let
say
me
yes or
answer.
no. Just say yes or no.
I am intent on detaining and deporting all illegal migrants. I am intent on deporting all people living here illegally. I am intent on detaining all criminals, foreign criminals, in our prisons straight away.
Yeah.
I am also intent on deporting those people who knew that rape was happening within their family and didn't report it.
You've talked about
And
how you'd like to see illegal migrants put on an island off Scotland with minimal food, your words, and let the midges do
That's
the
what
rest.
I said. That's what I said.
So
And
do you advocate pain and suffering for anyone who washes up
I
here?
advocate detaining and deporting. But if because of the Human Rights Act, which, as you know, beds the ECHR
Let the midges do the
within
rest.
it, hang on, embeds the ECHR within it. If our arguably deficient legal system doesn't allow us to act as a
Let them
proper
start
sovereign
today.
nation, no, hang on, let me answer.
I'm quoting
Before
your words.
you
You
jump
put
in,
them on
before
an
you
island
jump in like
off
Rumpelstiltskin,
Scotland with minimal food and let the
before
midges
you
do the
jump in like
rest. What does
Rumpelstiltskin,
that
let
mean?
me answer. So, if our legal system doesn't allow us as a sovereign nation to deport, which personally I would repeal a number of acts, including the Human Rights Act. I said what I said because I mean it. And at the end of the day, if you don't think the British people agree with me, then you're wrong, because they do. They've had enough of it. You don't have illegal migrants living next to you, Emily, because you live in a part of the country that probably doesn't have them.
And if you did, you would want them to starve to death.
So you are part of this liberal elite who basically says, do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so I'm sorry, what I meant was, and I mean it, is if our legal system doesn't allow us to detain and deport, we should set up a tented camp on an island. We should not treat them unfairly, but we should equally not put them at the top of waiting lists for dental treatment, for medical treatment. We should not give them spending money. We should not effectively treat them as if they have been taxpayers for years. They haven't been. They are illegal migrants. And by the way, they're not asylum seekers. They're economic migrants, most of them. So I mean, I know the virtue signalling do-gooders want to sort of feel good about themselves, but if you really want to, go and live next to these people. Go and spend your life, and you have them ogling at your children in school and things. No, that's wrong. And what's happened is our state no longer puts the honest, decent, tax-paying British citizen at the top of the agenda. They have been relegated to a second-class citizen, and we are bringing people in here who've contributed nothing, who have come in here illegally, and most of them have been allowed to stay for the simple reason that we are signed up to all these nonsensical international treaties. Why do you think people voted to leave the European Union, Emily? Why do you think they did? Because they want their country back. They want their borders back. They want sanity back. So I'm sorry, yes, if they want to come here, and if you can't deport them, put them on an island until they ask to go home.
And let the midgets.
And who else does that? Australia do that, don't they? And these people will learn very quickly, don't come to the UK. It is not just going to hand out a load of candy to you and let you take priority over the people who've lived here all their lives. British people don't want that.
So he absolutely nailed it, completely eviscerated this woman. And in the end, all she could really try and do was tone police him. But she doesn't realise that as much as she thinks that's a gotcha moment, he's saying exactly what the British people are thinking. Why would the government prioritise their resources to give a nice cushy life to illegal immigrants? Why would the welfare and well-being of an illegal immigrant come before any British citizen at all? Why do they get spending money and dental and put up in hotels whilst British citizens are suffering? That makes no sense. So he's absolutely right to just double down on that point.
When I thought of the term illegal migrant hotel, I definitely had a far less luxurious accommodation in my mental image. So aside from music for entertainment, there is other provisions as well, like access to multiple different types of sports equipment, including cricket. If you fancy having 10 eggs for your breakfast, take 10 eggs. What's on the menu? Hash browns, beans, hash browns, salad, eggs, tomatoes.
So anyways, let's now go through some of the points that he lays out in his recent announcement video one by one.
I have chosen to speak to you today from the farm because places like this represent what proper Britain is about. Hard work, responsibility, effort, duty, stewardship. This is the England I know, and this is the England that I love. On a farm, you don't think in election cycles or headlines or polling. You think in seasons. You think in generations, in what you leave behind to those who come after you. And that's why, here on the farm, I am now launching Restore Britain as a national political party. I'm now going to dedicate my life to finding, organising, funding, and providing hundreds of qualified candidates to present to the British people at the next general election. This process has already started, with invitations being issued to patriots in aligned political parties, Reform, the Conservatives, the SDP, Advance, and more. In local politics, we will work in partnership with localised political parties, such as Great Yarmouth First, that have the best interests of their residents at heart, combining our forces at the next general election. The men and women standing for Restore in that election will not be politicians. I promise you that. They will not be failed ministers. They will not be tainted by failures of the past. They will be from business, from the military, from science, from medicine, from education, from industry, representing real communities up and down the country. Every single one will be from well outside the existing political establishment, and every single one will understand the difficult decisions that need to be taken.
So this is an important one here. People from outside of politics. Now, this is reminiscent of Trump, but in Britain, this is probably even more important and pervasive because there is a certain British elite political class that people are so desperate to see dismantled. In Britain, there's a particularly pervasive problem with political whores who will just jump from party to party. And even Reform UK under Nigel Farage has had a few questionable additions of late. So it's safe to say that the British people are completely and utterly sick of the political class, of the elite Oxford, Cambridge, Durham University class, and they are desperate for an outsider populist candidate who brings in outsider knowledge. There needs to be new life breathed into the British political system. And it's all well and good to say, but in practice, this is not going to be nice. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to be very ugly, which he addresses.
There are no easy fixes. I'm not going to tell you comforting lies about the condition of our country. I have only ever been honest with the British people, and I will be straight with you now. What is necessary will be incredibly painful. But for the first time in a very long time, voters will have a genuine alternative which is truthful with them about the scale of what now has to be done.
So this is really important here, to give the raw, honest and sober truth about the situation and about what this will actually require. You look in the US, as soon as ICE actually starts to do their job, starts to deport people with force that are in the country illegally, as the Americans voted for, everybody starts losing their minds and all of these big protests are up and the libertarians start turning on Donald Trump and people are all of a sudden so sad about this. They can't believe that there's force being used. As if this was meant to be some sort of an easy process. No, it is going to be gut-wrenching to see. A lot of these people aren't going to be bad people. They're going to be in search of a better life, but unfortunately, you have to put the British people first. So what that's going to require is remigration. Sometimes it's not going to be easy. And optically, it could look cruel, especially to the bleeding heart liberal and the woman. He continues.
The first priority is to control who comes to our country, and more importantly, who stays in our country. Restore Britain will not just stop mass immigration, we will reverse it. Every single illegal migrant will be securely detained and then deported. The message will be unrelenting. If you are in this country without our permission, you will be removed. For the foreseeable future, far more people must leave Britain than arrive.
So this is another thing that is completely necessary. There needs to be mass remigration. I mean, the demographics are also at stake here. If the population stays the way it is and continues to go in the same direction, the British people will be bred out of existence and will become a minority in their own country within a few generations. Moving on.
We're constantly told that the economy needs vast swathes of low-skilled migrants. We know that's simply not true. What we need is to get millions of healthy Brits back into work. A radical overhaul of how welfare is delivered. Protecting those in genuine need, but not funding healthy shirkers to live off the back of hard-working men and women. If you can work, you must work. It really is that simple. Restore Britain will be abundantly clear. If you consistently refuse work, then you will lose your benefits. We will punish indolence, and more importantly, we will reward success. We will provide vast economic incentives for men and women to start businesses, generate opportunities, build wealth, and create self-sufficient families.
So another point that just seems self-evident to me, why are these massive welfare systems in place? They need to be completely cut, and you can see other examples of this around Europe. For example, Poland don't have a robust social welfare system for immigrants.
What we're saying is send them back. Okay? Simple as that. Poland is the only country in the European Union which we haven't had even one terrorist attack. We don't have stabbings, we don't have rapes, we don't have all these really dangerous behaviors from migrants.
You can't just walk into Poland and get a bunch of government benefits. That's not how it works. So guess what the immigrants do? They don't go to Poland. They go to Germany. They go to France. They go to England. They go to Ireland. They go to the places where the government is going to subsidize their life.
Every hour of every day, a train arrives in the German town of Passau from across the border in Austria. 5,000 a day in Passau alone.
So take that away and people will have less incentives to come there. Seems pretty self-evident to me. I mean, if people are coming from the Middle East or from Albania or from Africa, they're going to have to essentially come through the entirety of Europe to eventually get to the English Channel and then cross the English Channel to get to England. So this seems like people who have options and they're in England because they want to be in England for some reason, and that reason seems obvious. But they're incentivized to go there because the government will give them lots of money and resources. Moving on.
Is about much more than numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about who we are as a nation and who we are as a people. Britain is not just an economy. Britain is not just an idea. Britain is not just a passport. Britain is a nation. Britain is a people, our people. And Restore Britain will never allow that to be erased. We will celebrate our Christian heritage and the identity that built and shaped this country. Responsibility, restraint, forgiveness, duty, and fairness. In short, a high-trust society. That will mean defending our culture. That will mean resisting the relentless creep of radical Islam. That will mean banning the burqa, outlawing Sharia law, blocking cousin marriages, and reimposing our Christian-based rule of law. A Restore Britain government would legislate to ensure that no halal or kosher slaughter on British soil. This is Britain, and we will do things our way. This political party now exists for one reason: to restore Britain.
More great points here. I mean, banning cousin marriage and halal, banning the burqa, outlawing Sharia law, and for heaven's sake, in England. Yes, people should be speaking English.
The NHS exists to provide the best possible care to patients. Now, some of those patients will feel more comfortable speaking in their native language.
I don't care.
Right?
I have no interest in that.
Well, fine. Like
they should speak English. They live in England, they should speak English.
Furthermore, the idea of the Christian heritage as well. This is important. The British should be able to celebrate their Christian heritage. That is the Christian heritage that developed one of the greatest empires that planet Earth has ever seen. And it's about time the British stopped whipping themselves about their colonial past and realized that actually the society that they built was pretty awesome. And they have some pretty incredible exports too, and many of the things that they actually brought to the colonies were hugely beneficial. I mean, just look at what Australia became in 200 years because of the Brits. It's a marvel of human achievement. So anyways, guys, this is it. This is the moment. This is the deep and dying breath of Britain. This is the country poking its head up out of the water as it drowns, gasping for one last breath. And I wish it weren't that dire, but it is.
This is our country! You should be here standing with us!
I mean, this is not going to be easy. Somehow they've managed to unify the online right, and it appears as though hopefully they can unify the British right as well. And even the British working class, hopefully. I mean, that is high hopes. But the fact of the matter is that this needs to be an overwhelming groundswell of support, because there is a massive financial class and lobbyists and NGOs and bureaucrats in the EU and other interest groups that have a vested interest in keeping the status quo in place. So it's now or never, and it can't be a whimper. It has to be a tidal wave of support, unapologetically, for Rupert Lowe and for Restore Britain. And as much as I respect Nigel Farage, and as much as what he's done during the time that he's done it has been very difficult, and he definitely did some good things, his time is up. Reform UK, being the most popular party, is better than the rest, but unfortunately, for the actual issues at hand, they're too soft. And here's a good side-by-side analysis that demonstrates that.
It's a political impossibility to deport hundreds of thousands of people. We simply can't do it.
But a deportation scheme on the scale required would be impossible, as it would take a flight leaving every hour. That sounds like a very good starting point to me. The message has to be clear. If you're in our country illegally, expect deportation. Implement that on the scale required, and the boats will stop overnight. I can promise you that.
So anyways, guys, I'm going to leave the link below to join Restore UK. I'm certainly behind them, and I've seen Carl Benjamin, Connor Tomlinson, and my favourite political commentators in the UK behind them as well, which for me signifies that this is a solid movement. So that will be linked below, as well as my Discord, guys. Join the Discord if you would like to be a part of the community, if you would like to get notified when these videos come out, and if you would like to get notified when I go live, which is most days around 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Join that Discord, hit that notification bell. Like this video, guys, if you did enjoy it, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and if you'd like to watch another one, right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.